Welcome back to season number 2 of the Go for 2 podcast. I am your host, Jackson Wallace. I got my friend, my buddy, my pal, Lucas here with me. Lucas, it's episode 23. What's up?
All right, I wrote down the wrong episode number, but that's okay. That's all right.
Did you
okay?
really?
Yes,
Man.
I did. I wrote down 24. That's okay because it's 23. So
yeah, the goat episode, man. 23.
The goat episode.
We're
that's
entering
right.
into the spooky season.
Lucas. Spooktober. 'Tis a great time. I've already started the spook watching. Okay. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Watch a couple good spooks.
Everyone needs to be keeping up with it. All right. Remember, you try your best to watch something spooky every day. All right.
Got to.
And then if you're not a broke college kid with COVID like me, you can go to haunted houses and stuff on the weekends. But
yeah, I was gonna say a couple things have happened since our last episode. Most notably, Mr. Lucas coming down with the old COVID-19. Brother, how you feeling? Doing okay?
Yeah, I have not been able to taste for like 10 days. Terrible. Okay.
Oof.
Everything good in life has been completely sucked out of me, but that's okay. We're still here.
Yeah, I remember you telling me you're like, man, I might as well eat some celery sticks or something because I can't tell the difference between pizza and.
Hey, if it never comes back, at least I'll lose a bunch of weight because I'll probably just start living like a rabbit.
I feel that. Well, I wish you a fast and speedy recovery, Mr. Lucas. As always, show would not be the same without you, brother. But so you had that. I had a root canal yesterday. So we're moving on from that and getting here into the pod, into the intro and the comments. But it's been quite eventful the past week. I'm literally moving in like 4 days. Moving down to the Austin area with my brother, so it's going to be a good time. All right, let's see. Here it shows our comments, Lucas. Okay. Lucas had to remind me to pull up the comments. Had like a 4-week streak going where he didn't have to remind me, but he actually had to this time. Sad times out here. All right, terrible. First comment from Alex Zamudio. What's up, Alex? How you doing, brother? He says, question, are we going to see Russell Wilson winning MVP this year?
Okay, so we're actually going to talk about that in this pod, but short answer, I don't really know. I want to say yes, but I don't know. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it here in a little bit.
Yeah, we have a whole segment dedicated to that too for you, Alex. Thank you for the comment. Appreciate you, brother. Casey, my man, making an appearance in the comment section once again. What's up, brother? He says, "Oh my God, listen, bro. You know where this is going. If I make that sighing, like exhale of breath, then you know where this is going, Lucas." He says, "Rodgers will choke later on in the season like he always does. Start off great. Oh, discount, double check, baby. We go to Super Bowl. Oh wait, we're looking for a wild card game. He's going to lose over the second round." Listen, Casey. Buster. Getting sick and tired of you disrespecting the man. Okay? Look, Rodgers, it's the proof is in the pudding, as it were. Okay? Rodgers has not had numbers like this since 2011. What did he do in 2011? Oh, yeah. Won the MVP, won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no big
Is
deal.
that going to happen?
Ain't no
is
big
that
deal.
Going to happen again this time? We don't know. But he is playing out of his mind. Okay, Rodgers is in Rodgers form. Okay, he actually had a really good comment. He was on the Pat McAfee show. We'll talk about this later in the pod too, in our MVP section. But all in all, he was saying that like it's crazy how people would think him having a bad year is like a career year for the quarterback. So just think about that. Let that stew in your brain for a little bit there, Mr. Casey. All right. Next one from Mr. Casey. Thank you for the comment. Let's see. Let's go Hurts. Boo Carson. LOL. Carson is haunted by Nick Foles. Backup wins all playoff games and Super Bowl MVP. LOL. Haha. Carson can't shake it off. Yeah, that was wild.
I can't argue with that.
We can't argue with it. Carson Wentz actually did beat the 49ers this past Sunday Night Football. So that was interesting. I certainly did not call that game. I thought that was wild. But
I think I picked that, didn't I?
Did you pick the Eagles to win that game?
Let's see.
The 49ers. Checking our records here real quick.
I can't find it. I'm blind. I don't know how to read.
It's okay. But I definitely didn't pick that. So Carson, I guess you played okay. But
we both picked the 49ers.
We both picked 49ers. Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, I mean, hey, I'm down for Jalen Hurts. Why not? Casey again within the comments says Bucks, Seahawks, Saints, maybe Green Bay for the NFC. AFC, Chiefs, Ravens, Titans, and maybe New England. He's throwing New England into every category, bro. You see this, Lucas? That's from last week. Whenever we were talking about, oh hey, which teams do we think are like relevant for Super Bowl contenders? I can see that, Casey. I can see that. But New England, I don't know. I think that one's kind of out there. Bucks, I have to see a little bit. I have to see a little bit more from them going forward before I can pull that trigger.
Yeah, Brady had a good
another
week,
one
though.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, Casey, I'm playing against him in fantasy, and Brady dropped 47 on my neck. It was wild.
Yeah.
I said, all right, boys, future University of Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers' first game of the season, 387 passing yards with 5 touchdowns. It's his 5th straight game with over 500 or over 300 yards. It's like, I know, Lucas, it's high school, blah, blah. Literally, he wrote that, Lucas. Just look at the numbers. This dude is a cheat code. It's actually insane. Kyler Murray didn't even do that. This guy is going to be in the pros if he stays healthy. So, Lucas, when this kid gets drafted by the Titans, I'll be like, oh, yeah, I told you so, Lucas.
Hey, write it down, brother. All right? Write it down, fold that little piece of paper up, throw it in your wallet, and keep it. And you know what? Like 4 years from now, we'll reevaluate. However, I don't know how old the kid is. However long it's going to take.
Yeah, I think it's a senior in high school now, committed to Texas. So
4 years at least.
4 years at least, bare minimum. Last comment from Casey, then we have one more comment from Alex. My man Aiden didn't show up in the comment section. Where you at, Aiden? Come on, bro.
Big sad.
Last one from Casey. OMG, y'all are so funny. Jackson, bro. Carson's going to be pulled if he's not winning. He's going to be a backup quarterback. Next season, Hurts is going to be the starter. And Carson will be traded or cut because the Eagles have a good rookie. Give him a chance to develop. Either way, Carson will be gone. Like, bye-bye, baby. Here's your money. Hope you win somewhere else. Just like the Cowboys did with Romo. What do you mean? We didn't trade Romo. I mean, we did go with Dak over Romo at a certain point. I guess that's right. So that's how it's going to go down. Carson's had enough chances to get the job done. If he's not winning again, Eagles are going to say bye-bye. And fly hurts fly. Ha ha. I knew you liked to do it. Fly, Eagles, fly.
It's my favorite. That's my favorite thing to do to you. It's my favorite thing to do to you. It's the best.
God, it was so messed up, man. Like,
especially if Hurts comes in. If Jalen Hurts comes in and starts winning games, I can't wait. Right in your face, Jackson, every day.
Listen, we keep trying to tell Zach, our good buddy Zach, that Carson Wentz ain't nothing. And actually, fun fact, another quarterback that he really likes, Dwayne Haskins, got benched today. So,
yeah, bad taste.
In your face, Zacharias. All right, last one from Alex Zamudio. He says, dude, the Browns would be doing better if they got Chubb and Hunt more involved. I remember seeing this and I actually replied to this comment.
And then they ran all over you.
They ran all, well, they had 300 yards rushing total, and OBJ had like 89 or 100 or something ridiculous on our head. And but going into the game, Chubb and Hunt each had like 200 yards 3 games into the season. So they're utilizing them, I think, pretty well. But obviously the strength for them is their run game, and they proved that against the Cowboys this past week. So it's rough times out here, Lucas. Rough times. We got
I love it.
Absolutely straight. But that's our intro and our comments, guys. Thank you all for commenting. We really do appreciate it. Remember, we upload this video on YouTube every single week. So jump down there in the comment section and give us a question, give us a comment, pick at us a little bit, Tell us who your favorite quarterback is or who you think should win MVP after this podcast, and we'll be sure to read your comment out loud for everybody else to hear. Thank y'all so much.
So Jackson.
Yes.
I believe we have a Texans fan in the viewing population.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Aiden's a big Texas fan. He's got a JJ Watt jersey and everything.
All right, so he has to talk about this. I'm sure he'll have plenty to say.
I'm sure.
But the Texans have finally gotten rid of the cancer that was known as their coach and general manager. Good old Bill.
Good old Bill. Bye, Bill.
What a guy.
We'll see you later.
What a guy. I loved it.
Now, were you surprised by it, Lucas? By the move?
No. Like, I wasn't like, oh, he's going to get fired, like, in the middle of the year, or like, oh, I'm expecting him to get fired this week. But, like, it happened, and I read it, and I was like, makes sense. Seems fair.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of, like, ruined the future of this franchise. Or it looks like it, You don't have a first or second round draft pick next year. You're paying out the most money out of all the teams in the league. You are kind of the worst team in the AFC South right now. At least if you go by record, you definitely are.
Yeah, whenever I saw the move, I was like, "Wow, this is." It wasn't surprising to me that it happened. It was surprising to me when it happened. I didn't think it would happen, after 4 games in the season, especially if he, is holding those 2 titles as your head coach and as your GM, because those are two obviously vastly important things that you have to have. The spot has to be filled throughout the season.
Right.
So I was surprised at just the timing, but I mean, you and me have talked about it several times. The Texans weren't going to get anywhere until they let go of Bill O'Brien. Yes, he's brought you a couple AFC South championships. That's fantastic. He's gotten you past wild card round in like 2 or 3 years. Great. But like you said, he literally destroyed this team's foreseeable future for the next like 3 to 4 years. Um, Obviously, most notably, trading of DeAndre Hopkins, and not just trading him, because I can almost understand. Actually, I can't understand trading the best receiver in the league. But if you were going to trade the best receiver in the league, you would think you'd get a massive haul for him. It's something, right? And I think they got a second round and David Johnson, who is in week 1 showed a slight glimmer of his former self against a bad Kansas City rush defense, I guess. But since then, it's kind of been inconsistent, to say the least. And their team, it just shows how valuable D Hop was to them. I mean, when you have a guy like that who requires, a future Hall of Famer, I would say, who requires double coverage on almost every single play, or at least defensive scheme specific to that one guy, it allows everybody else in your team to have one-on-one coverages, to get open, to be a little more creative with your routes. I'll use the Cowboys as an example. Before we had Amari Cooper and we were doing this wide receiver by committee, we couldn't move the football. Mm-hmm. We bring in Amari Cooper. We trade a 1 for him. Everybody thought it was controversial, but he literally transformed our offense, and Dak came into like a top 4 passer in terms of yardage in the NFL that very same season. So it's like you have to have a number 1 in this league. Like you just do. And so that was the most controversial thing. Also, with DeMoris with their trades, Lucas, they don't have a first or second round pick this next year at all. And we were talking about this draft class hopefully being pretty good. Everybody's talking about tank for Trevor. We thought that was the case with the Jaguars, but Jaguars have won more games through the first quarter of the NFL than the Texans have.
I love it.
Yes, I know the Texans have had had a weird schedule. And I know you're sitting here like a little evil, like holding your hand, like Dr. Evil type thing. But yeah, the AFC South is in turmoil. And it's it's up to the Titans and the Colts. And I think it's a very strong possibility both of those teams could make the playoffs.
The Colts are spooking me, Jackson. I know it's Spooktober and it's okay to be spooked, but the Colts are spooking me. But
I mean, what do you have to look
so you've got a quarterback, right? So like obviously people are going to be looking at your team like you're not completely broken, right? As a Titans fan, it scares me that they're going to get a new coach because sometimes new coaches come in and can invigorate a team, right?
Sure. Yeah. Just kind of change the pace up a little bit.
Right. Okay, I'm trying to decide. I was gonna save this for take it or leave it. Wait, you want to go ahead?
I was just filling in some information while you're doing something, but it was like Romeo Crennel, by the way, interim head coach, former head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. He has that. If you guys know him, he has that famous kind of like "we let him off the hook. They are who we thought they were" moment against the Bears in like the 2005 NFC Championship game. Post-game interview, hilarious, by the way. Look it up. Look up Romeo Crennel interview. It's hilarious. But so he's taken over. I guess he was their defensive coordinator, and so he's now going to run the show in the interim until they find somebody.
So, I was going to save this for take it or leave it, but I want to go ahead and talk about it.
Oh, okay. Let's do it.
So we know, like, other potential future head coaches are going to be looking at this job, right?
Yeah.
But I kind of think there's a chance that management within the Texans are going to be like, Bill screwed this up so much, that we have to rebuild because we've got so much, we're putting out so much money, we're not going to be able to keep these people. We're going to have too many problems, right?
Yeah.
Let's say they have a bad year. Let's say they keep their interim coach for the rest of the year.
Sure.
They have a bad year, get a pretty good draft pick, and decide to trade Deshaun Watson to the San Francisco 49ers in order to begin their rebuild, where they draft like Trevor Lawrence, and just get like 3 number ones. And
I was gonna say, like, here's a scenario I can very well see happening, because here's the thing: Deshaun Watson is not going to be a free agent going into this year, which is huge for the Texans because
they did re-sign him.
Yeah, they did re-sign him to a 4-year deal. So number one, they either have a franchise quarterback because Deshaun Watson is capable. He's a franchise quarterback. He's a top tier. He's a top tier quarterback in this league. So you either have that A, so whoever new coach comes in has that piece to work with, or B, you have amazing trade capital in order to initiate that rebuild, just like you said. So,
right,
like, I could very well see them saying, bring a new coach in. A new coach is like, okay, cool. I have Deshaun Watson, but I have no draft picks. They could very well trade him to the 49ers, like we said, or to some other team in order for some draft stock, some draft capital for them to be able to work with. Because you said, Lucas, they are paying out the most amount of money in the NFL.
right.
They're like right there on the salary cap. So it definitely raises the question of spending all this money in terms of production. Are you going to want, or are some coaches going to even want that job? Are you pretty much set up for failure because you bring in a coach, young coach, give him a shot, he comes in,
right,
reinvigorates the team. Maybe he does everything right, but draft picks are the most valuable they've ever been at this point in the NFL because of where the salary cap is and because of how quarterback salaries work. You have to be able to draft studs and keep them on rookie contracts in that 4-year window in order to make a run at a Super Bowl.
Right.
So you're hoping right now for the Texans, you're either trading for draft capital or you're hoping to sign veterans to veteran minimum deals on prove-its and trying to make something happen. So they're in a really bad situation, and I feel bad if a young upcoming coach who has a lot of talent is going to get blamed for being bad, for being put in a bad situation. Does that make sense? Like, it just seems like, I don't know, it's almost like a nuclear radiation situation. You kind of just want to stay away from it.
So they're probably not going to trade Watson.
I highly doubt
they would be crazy to do that, right? But
unless they got like some insane deal where they just could not turn down.
But if they're like, yeah, if they get a stupid haul of draft picks and they're sitting there and they're looking at it and they're like, we're gonna have this guy for 4 years, we're gonna pay him all this money, it's gonna put us in a bind, and we're not gonna be able to win anything, and then he's just gonna leave us. We could trade him, get out from under his cap, get a load of picks, start the rebuild, and in 2 years be a contender. In theory.
Yeah, in theory. Go out, get you a young coach, get you some draft picks. I feel like they're almost going to be forced into one of those situations, or they're going to have to hire somebody internally to take over that job. And if Romo Cornell wins a couple games, maybe you give him a shot next year. I don't know. It's just, I don't know, man. Texans are in some deep trouble, just because they don't have that draft capital to look back on.
Yeah.
It'd be crazy trading him, but we saw the 49ers make a lot of moves before the draft this past year. I wouldn't put it past them as saying, they are just a single quarterback away for making a title run.
Right. I don't see any other.
I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Sorry about that, Lucas. I'll go back through and edit my side.
That's okay.
My bad.
Anyways, we were talking about the Watson trade, and I was
Yeah.
just gonna say that like the only reason like I even bring that up is because I don't see any other player or any other way for the Texans to get a haul of picks, right? Like
Yeah.
you're in a hole, and I don't see any other way. There's no other player on your team I think that could demand something like that. But at the same time, you don't get rid of your franchise quarterback, right? Like that's obvious. You don't do that, and we all know Deshaun Watson's really good, so we'll
Yeah,
see what happens. But it would be cool. It would be cool if that happened.
it
As
would
a
be really
Titans
cool.
fan,
It would be really cool especially from a Titans perspective. I mean, think about that. They trade Watson to let's just say our scenario works. They trade Watson to San Francisco, and then you go and you take a look. They're hitting their full rebuild. Jacksonville's in an absolute rebuild, right? They pay the least amount of money on their team in terms of their offense, and then you go and you look into Indianapolis, and Philip Rivers is approaching the end of his career, and he's got maybe 1 year after this, 2 at the absolute max. I wouldn't be surprised if he retired after this year. They don't have Andrew Luck, so they're looking at a potential rebuild, at least in terms for looking for a quarterback. And Titans are sitting pretty if this happens. So it would be really cool, and I would love to see a player like Deshaun Watson's like caliber go to a contender like San Francisco, where they are literally just one quarterback away. And it's actually kind of ironic because for a long time, Houston was loaded on both sides of the football, and they were just a quarterback away. You have your quarterback, and now you're in a situation to where you might have to get rid of him.
so it's like
So it's kind of ironic.
I really think the biggest reason in my head of like why he got fired is because your window is past now. We talk all the time about like teams have Super Bowl windows, and it's usually a young quarterback on his rookie deal still, and the rest of the team's loaded with studs, right? You've got Clowney, J.J. Watt, Merciless. You had the Honey Badger. You've got who else do they have?
They had D Hop.
They had a stud corner. They had D Hop with Will Fuller being their speed guy. Lamar Miller was doing a good job at halfback, and it's just like,
yeah,
they won the AFC South for forever.
Yeah,
and I mean Deshaun Watson's won the AFC South every year he's been here, right?
Yeah, you had a Titans team without Ryan Tannehill, with admittedly a struggling Mariota before Vrabel came in. You had a Colts team with an injured Andrew Luck, and you had a Jaguars team that was riding their defense and hoping that they could win. So, I mean, they had 4 years, almost 5, where it was pretty much theirs for the taking. And now, unfortunately,
and you missed it. And that's something he did say is he apologized. He was like, I'm sorry I couldn't get us over the hump. And that's got to be the hump. You made it to the first round of the playoffs and you never won a playoff game. I don't think.
I think they won either a playoff game or they would never got past the second round. I think occasionally they would get past the wild card round, but they wouldn't get farther. They couldn't get in the AFC Championship game, basically.
Right. Couldn't do anything else. Wasted the opportunity, and now you're in such a bad spot that.
Yeah. But some positive things looking forward for Houston, I guess, so we can kind of cover this of not being too completely depression potty for you, Aiden. I mean, you have a once-in-a-generational type quarterback in Deshaun Watson. If you're able to hold on to him and make it work with the salaries everywhere else, you're going to have a chance to win games. His ability to escape the pocket and make plays is just ridiculous. You have an up-and-coming kind of offensive line. The defense is young and hungry. Yeah, you're probably going to have to get rid of some veterans to kind of make it work, but as long as you have Deshaun Watson, and arguably what this rebuild is going to do is probably bring in a young and invigorated head coach with a new philosophy. And if you can get lucky and have a guy kind of like a Sean McVay or a Matt Lefleur, right, from Green Bay, somebody with a new mind, a new set of schemes, it's an opportunity to kind of build off of that. So the good thing is you got rid of Bill O'Brien, and that's the first step into bringing it all back. Right. So Definitely not all over. And the AFC South, like we said, is kind of for the taking at this point. You just kind of got to get past Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Ah, feels good to hear that, Jackson.
I'm telling you, you've been waiting a long time.
Out of the depression pod into
Yes.
the next one here we want to talk about. Okay, Jackson. So it's the
Alex's
MVP after 4 weeks, right? Because we talked about it earlier, and I was like, we'll get to that later on in the pod. And so I'm looking at this this graphic from NFL Game Day, right?
Yeah, I remember it.
And
I think tag me in on Twitter.
Just to let some people in, all right? Russell Wilson, 1,300 yards, 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. My man's 4-0. Okay?
They're looking real good in
Seattle. All right? Aaron Rodgers, 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns, no interceptions, 4-0.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns, no interceptions, 4-0. And then the most surprising one to me, the one that really jumped out at me, and I was like, wow, I hadn't noticed this. Josh Allen with the most passing yards out of all 4 of them with 1,326, and he's got 15 touchdowns, which is 1 less than Russell Wilson, and he has 1 less interception than Russell Wilson, and he's 4-0.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of watching the games, if I had to pick an MVP, I'm picking Russell Wilson.
Right.
In terms of stats, I hate to say it, but I feel like Josh Allen is winning right now to me.
He is being sneaky good. I'm telling you what, man, leading this team to 4-0. Now, his games have been a lot more scrappy.
It's the Bills. It's the Bills.
Yeah.
You know,
but go ahead.
He is a little different than the other quarterbacks too. You know, yeah. I seen him stiff arm a guy into the dirt the other weekend though. That was cool. But I haven't seen Josh Allen play like this. And
ever.
And if he keeps it up, he definitely deserves to be in the MVP talks. I haven't really heard anything about him until I seen this graphic. I think right now, personally for me, Russell Wilson's number 1, Aaron Rodgers number 2, right?
Yeah.
And I don't see anyone else there right now. I think it's them two.
In the conversation. That's right.
But then, if Josh Allen keeps this up, he deserves to be in there, right?
He's having the quarterback equivalent to Christian McCaffrey numbers early last year, right? Just insane numbers out of nowhere. It feels like you're playing Madden with him or something. Like, it's just absolutely wild. Let's talk about Josh Allen for a second. You know, kind of grew up, and he wasn't really highly recruited going into college. Played at like Western Michigan or something, and has a stud arm. Makes it onto the Bills roster. Wins the starting job. Dude's got a cannon. Okay, yep. He is very some certain players play off of like the hype, and they play off the adrenaline rush and the moment in the game, and they are very vocal. Like Phillip Rivers is kind of like that, but the thing that what separates Josh Allen from a guy like Phillip Rivers is Josh Allen has the athletic ability that Phillip Rivers never had, but he has a Phillip Rivers type fire within him. Like you could see him on the sidelines screaming at his teammates, like, and some is positive and some's negative reinforcement, sure, but out there, and he is like he's a leader of men, right? So he goes out, like you said, he's going to get in the trenches with his offensive line. He is going to, almost like Big Ben, he's like, I'm going to run at you and I'm going to stiff arm you into the dirt because I am going to win this football game, right? And that's just very much his style. It's out of the box. It's unconventional, right? He's going to take those risky hits. He's going to try and make the extra play and put all of his effort into a single play. Now, we saw last year in the playoffs against the Texans, for sure, that type of never wanting to give up on a play hurt him in fumbling the football and attempt almost winning it in overtime and going to the division.
So
reckless. But this year, he hasn't been so reckless with the football. He's taking care of it a bit more. You had a point?
Yeah, so like I said in the beginning, I was like, if I'm actually watching them, I'm picking Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Sure. And the reason is because when I'm watching Josh Allen, when things don't go how they're supposed to, it looks like he immediately gets uncomfortable, or like he immediately gets maybe frantic. I don't know. I just feel like you can definitely tell a difference if anything breaks down, or if his first or second guy, his first or second read isn't there. He just makes mistakes that tend to cost him games. Now, they haven't cost him games yet this year. But to your point, the Texans game was just
last year,
otherworldly. The Texans won that game, didn't they?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the Texans won
that
game.
So they won a playoff game. Okay. So they won a
playoff game. They never made it past the second round. But like we said, Josh Allen had it. He had a opportunity. They're driving. I'm sure Aiden. I'm sure you remember this game. They're driving down at the end of the game, trying to win the game. At the end, Josh Allen makes a crazy play, runs for like 30 yards or something like that, and instead of going down and holding on to the football and making a play for a field goal to win the game at the end, he tries to extend the play and win the game right there. Does a little backward shovel pass, lateral to his teammate, who's clearly not expecting it. He's thinking his quarterback's about to go down, to try and extend the play and win it for a touchdown right there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the receiver fumbles it. Texans get a chance. They go down. They score. They win. Right? So he made a crazy, amazing play. Like, no one has his type of like athletic ability in terms of a quarterback other than like Lamar Jackson or like a Russell. Like in terms of athletic pure ability, like he has it. Like he has all of the pieces there. He just has to refine himself and become more polished as a quarterback and lessen those mistakes, because the talent's there. Obviously, he has a rocket cannon arm. He has crazy athletic ability. He can make big plays. But so far this year, no turnovers. He's brought himself down a little bit, but sometimes you can just tell he tries to force a little too much. But yeah, he's being sneaky good.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely agree with your point. I think right now it's Russell and it's Aaron Rodgers. We talked about Aaron. Excuse me. Dude is playing out of his mind. Hasn't played like this since he won MVP and the Super Bowl back in 2011. He said it multiple times. First year where his arm's not hurting. He says he's playing incredibly well. He's flexing on the Pat McAfee show, saying his bad years are career years for everybody else. And, he's just, he's among the best. It's just facts. Look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson never having an MVP vote ever, which is wild. On pace, had the best start for 3 games or almost 4 games for an NFL quarterback ever, including Tom Brady's 2007 run with Randy Moss and Wes Welker and everybody else. So, I think I completely agree with you. It's those two above everybody else. But Josh Allen, if he continues this, deserves to be in that conversation because he's being sneaky good. But I think my pick right now is probably Russ. I mean, he looks wake. He looks really comfortable. Yes, Aaron Rodgers is doing this without Devontae Adams. Russ has a little more coaching experience on his side with Pete Carroll, but the Seahawks just look like a more complete team to me right now, and Russ is he's not making any mistakes. So
I feel like Russ having to do a little extra. Yeah. Now, Aaron Rodgers has made some wild throws.
Running game is Green Bay, especially with Chris Carson kind of getting banged up.
Yeah.
But Rodgers he's among the purest passers ever in the history of the game.
He's doing some good stuff right now.
It's those two. If I was forced to make a choice right now, I'd probably say Russ, but Rodgers is right there with him.
Right.
I completely agree with everything.
I think last week's performance for Russell not being quite like the other games.
Right.
Probably brought his stuff down a little bit.
Just a tad.
But I think that's the only reason it's like, week 3, it was like Russell Wilson, boom, no question.
Yeah.
Obvious MVP. And now it's like, oh, he's not Superman,
Sure.
So it's like Aaron Rodgers is kind of there with him.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to see. We'll keep an eye on that to answer your question, Alex, as the season goes on. Obviously, MVP watch is a major topic every year. So, but keep an eye on Josh Allen. Dude's been sneaky good.
That's true. All right. So, week 5 picks, Jackson.
Let's get into it. How did I do last week? I don't know if I did particularly well. I was trying to do better than what I did the week before.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not 100% sure on that. Okay. I haven't updated it yet, but that's okay.
That's all right. We'll just kind of do it off the
Yeah. So, real quick, Jackson. Let's see. The Broncos beat the Jets, right?
Yes.
All right. The Browns beat the Cowboys.
Yeah. It was bad. It was really bad.
Ravens beat Washington. The Buccaneers beat the Chargers. Seahawks beat the Dolphins. The Vikings beat the Texans. Saints beat the
Yep.
Lions. The Bengals beat the Jags. All right, Joe Burrow got his first win. The Colts beat the Bears. Yeah, Nick Foles
Yeah, Colts did beat the Bears.
didn't look that great. Um, the Panthers beat the Cardinals. The Panthers came out and played good without McCaffrey. I
Surprising
wasn't
game
expecting
there.
it.
Bit of an
Yeah,
upset. Yeah.
yeah.
Teddy
It was
Bridgewater
actually
played really well.
it was actually a little spooky. Giants at the Rams. The Rams definitely won that game. The Chiefs beat the Patriots. The Bills beat the Raiders. The Eagles beat the 49ers. Neither one of us picked that. And then the Packers beat the Falcons. So there's a little update on the games from last week for those of you that don't know. And we will get into the games this week, starting with Thursday Night Football, which should be really good with the Bucks at the Bears.
Hey, we've been plagued with some Thursday night games that have been kind of wonky, right? Broncos, Jets, and games alike like that. Now we got a contender. This is a good game. I feel like this is a really good test for Nick Foles. He's coming off of a loss. Brady played out of his mind last week, even without Chris Godwin, who, by the way, he's out again this week. Yeah, should be an interesting game. Who do you got, Mr. Lucas?
That's right. I got to go first this week. This week.
I've been going first every week. You're going first this week.
All right. I got the Bears in this game, Jackson. Okay. Nick Foles didn't look that great. All right. I think they're going to have another week to work on some stuff, get some things figured out. It's going to be a short week for the Bucks and the Bears, and the Bears are at home. All right. It's going to help them a little bit. I don't think the Bucks have played a defense like this. Ooh. Need to sneeze.
Ooh. I hate that. There's that feeling.
Didn't sneeze. Didn't sneeze. Okay. Abort. Okay. I don't think they've really played a defense like this yet. I think the Bears are going to be able to get some pressure on the Bucks. I think it's going to be a good game, right? But I'm looking for Brady to show some age.
Okay. All right. I'm actually going to go with the Bucks on this one.
No.
I don't think it's going to be too terribly cold in Chicago yet. I think that's going to help out Tampa Bay. Now, Tampa's without Chris Godwin. That's a big-time weapon. They're also without Leonard Fournette. And LaShawn McCoy's hurt, so we expect Ronald Jones to get a ton of carries. But I liked what he was doing last week. Brady dropped 47 on my head in fantasy. Dude was playing out of his mind. Now, I know he was playing, a team that was not so great, but and I think the Bears are going to be able to apply pressure. I think it's going to be a close game, like 17-14-ish. But I'm looking for the Bucks to come out on top with experience here. I like Brady on the road. It's going to be a tough game. Nick Foles should be better in his second start. I'm going to go with the Bucks, man. I think we're going to have some disagreements on several games.
Bills at the Titans, Jackson.
All right. If this game happens, which I am hoping that it does for obvious reasons.
Trying to live through us, that's why.
Yeah. I am trying. I've told Lucas I'm living vicariously through him as a Titans fan because my Cowboys aren't playing well. Casey, don't you start. I'm still obviously a Cowboys fan. I'm a root for them every single week. Okay, I don't abandon my team, but I'm also looking forward to the Titans games, just like you like to look forward to the Bucks games, sir. I'm gonna go with the Bills here on the road. With this because the Titans are supposedly supposed to have several players inactive on the COVID-19 protocol list. Now, it'll be interesting to see over the next couple of weeks if some of those players become healthy. I think if they do, it becomes a much closer game. But simply because of several players being out, I'm going with the Bills that are 4-0.
Okay, yes, this is a perfect game for the Titans to lose. But what I said last week, Jackson, we love it. We love it.
You love it.
Love being the underdog. Love all the drama and all the chatter. Everyone chatting at us, telling us we're ruining the league. Don't care, all right? Hashtag don't give a, all right?
That's right. For the boys, what's up?
I think the Bills are a team that we can keep up with, and the offense might have to put the team on the back, all right? But I think they can do it against the Bills. Josh Allen make a mistake. Kevin Byard have a day. Maybe
You never know.
Clowney show that he's maybe worth some money.
Yeah, I can see a world where the Titans win this game. I really can, especially with some players coming off that protocol list. I think it's the Titans. Obviously, they're at home. The difference for me is only because there's so many players on the protocol list right now. So that's what I
Oh,
have to be.
it's so sad. All right, both of our interior defensive linemen out. We got a cornerback out. We got Corey Davis out. But AJ Brown's supposed to come back.
It's also a trap game for the Bills too. Going into a situation where they think they're going to roll over somebody.
Yeah, and we're rested up.
Yeah, that is true.
Shimmy action going on. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I feel you.
It's Spooktober. All right. Dad Taylor Lewan's going to be out there. Okay, Derrick Henry. All right.
He worried me last time. He got hurt, like just a little bit. Kind of scared me.
We don't actually know, so he hasn't been able to go into the facility, so we don't actually know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming he'll be back. He came out and played, right? Did he come out and play?
Yeah, he came back out and played.
So, Eagles at the Steelers, Jackson.
Eagles at the Steelers. Okay, yeah, this is gonna be a tough game here. I think now the Eagles surprised me last week when they beat the 49ers. Okay, it was wild. I really did not expect that. It was a much closer game than I had anticipated. But the Steelers, they're also rested up. They were supposed to play last week. They didn't. Their game got moved. So I'm looking for the Steelers to win here at home. I like their defense, and I think they're going to be able to get after Carson Wentz.
Yeah. So I'm also going to go with the Steelers. Everything you said checks out, and I was supposed to go first there, buddy. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm sorry.
Right.
We got used. I'm used to you going first, so that's my bad. Raiders at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to win this game. The Raiders just ain't got it right now. Henry Ruggs is hurt still, I think.
He is, yeah.
Not 1,000 on that. He might end up playing this weekend, but they haven't been able to run the football lately how they want to. And I think if you don't have that take the top off guy like Ruggs, then you're still going to have trouble running the football. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs as well. Now I'm going to give the Raiders some credit. They've been playing incredibly scrappy football and playing teams extremely close. They played, I think it was played Buffalo pretty close last week. It was Buffalo or maybe it was LA. No, it was LA that played Buffalo last week. They played them really close. But Raiders beating some teams that we didn't really expect, but I just don't think they're going to have enough to beat the Chiefs here.
Yeah. Rams at Washington, fully expecting the Rams to take off with this game. Right. 100%.
Yeah. Absolutely. Picking the Rams. I shouldn't have to explain why. The Washington, they pulled their starting quarterback. Their team's kind of in turmoil at the moment. Rams looking really, really good. Pushed the Bills to a last-second heroic win for them. So, yeah, I'm really liking the Rams this year.
Cardinals at the Jets. You got to bounce back, Cardinals. It's time. This is the game, okay? You've had 2 back-to-back weeks where you have not looked that great. How you looked before, right? But now's your time. You're playing the Jets. The terrible.
Yes, absolutely. Everything that you just said. The Cardinals they were favored in back-to-back matchups against the Lions and against who they played last week? The Panthers, right? So surprise upsets in those games. They could easily be 4-0 now. I'm looking for them to have a bounce back game against a Jets defense that has no Jamal Adams, right? No secondary insight. I expect D-Hop to have a day.
Jacksonville at Houston.
Look, man, you're going first. That's right.
I am torn here, right? Because there's 2 ways the team is going to go. I feel like what has happened in the AFC South most often, coach gets fired, and the next week the team just goes off. All right. But I do think there's a chance that they come out and they're just dead, right? Mm-hmm. And Jacksonville could see this as their closest rival in the AFC South right now.
Yeah.
And so if you want to keep your spot alive, your hope of going to the playoffs, you have to win this game. I'm going to go with the Texans. But it wouldn't surprise me if Jacksonville won. This is a scary game.
Same thing that you just said, all of the above, right? I'm expecting the Texans to win. I'm thinking there's a new coach, new change of pace, maybe the new energy in the building. That's one way this team can go. That's what I'm expecting. They certainly. I mean, look at these two offenses, Lucas. The highest paid offense in the league going against the lowest paid offense in the league. I have to think that the Texans have a lot more talent. Deshaun Watson is going to be able to do it against the Jaguars defense.
Right.
Brandon Cooks, maybe he comes alive and has a game. David Johnson all of a sudden cuts up the middle and breaks one for 60. I don't know. The Texans got to win a game, and I'm putting in Deshaun Watson over this game over Gardner Minshew. Okay, so come on, Texans. This is the game. You got to get yourself back into it, please, please. For the love of all that is holy, win this game.
Bengals at the Ravens.
Listen, Bengals, you had a great game last week. Picked y'all to win. Y'all did great. Thank you. Good job. Ravens got too much for you. Defense is amazing. Joe Burrow's going to be getting rushed all day, every single play. Lamar Jackson was really flashy last week, and I expected nothing less. I'm going to go with the Ravens at home.
Yeah. Also got to go with the Ravens. Obvious pick. Panthers at the Falcons, Jackson. This is a tough game. We got some tough games coming up, okay? This is a tough game for me. I think Falcons get their first win.
I think so too. I picked the Falcons at home. They got to win sometime. I did. Look, it's right here. It's in my highlighted sheet.
Okay.
I picked the Falcons at home. Panthers had a good game against a Cardinals team that was struggling last week. That's fantastic. See what they kind of got the run game going a bit, even in the absence of Christian McCaffrey. But the Falcons, man, your problem is not scoring points. The problem is closing games out. It is finishing and running the football. So I have to think that the Falcons come alive. You're at home. It's the start of Spooktober. Hit the mental reset. Let's go. Win this game. All right. I got to go with them at home just simply because they can't start 0-5, right? Right? I don't know. I'm hoping that they win this game.
Dolphins at the 49ers. Obvious choice to me is the 49ers. I know they got some quarterback problems, but as long as Fitzmagic is back there, I think the Giants, or not the Giants, excuse me, I think the 49ers are going to win.
I think so too. 49ers at home, obvious pick here. They're getting back healthy at wide receiver. Brandon Ayuk's looking pretty good. You're still having quarterback issues, but George Kittle's back. He had a monster game last week. They're at home. I just don't think the Dolphins can compete offensively enough. So, yeah, go on the 49ers.
Giants to Cowboys. I know that Jackson thinks the Giants are going to win this game, but the Cowboys are going to win, all right? All off season, all I hear is the Giants are going to sweep us this year. It's time. It's due. I don't care, Jackson. Have you seen this team play? It's atrocious. If you lose this game...
the Giants cannot score points.
If you lose this game, Jackson, you might be the worst team in the division.
I think so too. This is the game where we're at home. It's a 3:00 game. We play really good at 3:00, and you got the Giants coming into our house. The Giants literally can't score. They're 0-4. We're number one your offense in terms of yards per game. Again, we're putting up 30 points a game. Can our defense hold a Saquon-less Giants back? I surely hope so. We have to win this game, right? Cowboys at home, get back on track. Let's get the momentum going again. We're only one game out of first place. So even at 1-3, this division's so bad. Sorry, Ty. I think the Cowboys, I really do think the Cowboys win this game.
This is kind of a tough one. Colts at the Browns. I went with the Colts. Okay. I went with the Colts because I think their defense is going to be able to stop the Browns. And then I think Baker's going to have a bunch of mistakes. Odell's going to get frustrated. And everything just keeps going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. I actually picked the Browns here at home. I feel like they.
I hope so.
They had a really good win against the Cowboys last week. Went into their house and absolutely had their way in terms of running the football. Now, I don't think the Browns are going to have the same success running the football, but I think they're kind of flying high at the moment, feeling really good. And when the vibes are high and everybody believes in each other, winning can do a lot for a football team. And confidence is going to be something that I think is going to help them for this week. Um, I think being at home really does help them. And I think if they're going to beat anybody with a good as defense as the Colts, it's going to be led by a guy like Philip Rivers. So
Right.
I feel like Philip Rivers is going to have a chance to win this game and somehow choke, and that's how the Browns are going to win.
Hey, Miles Garrett's been doing good. He kind of looking like
Yeah,
defensive player of the year.
yeah, he's been playing out of his mind. Even whoever running back is back behind that offensive line right now for Cleveland has been doing incredibly well. Kareem Hunt's going to get a majority of the carries with Nick Chubb being out on IR. But Odell's looking like his former self. At least he did against the Cowboys. So I got to go with the hot Browns team.
Broncos at the Patriots. Obviously, Patriots at home. Hopefully get Cam back. No chance. No chance for the Broncos.
None.
Although they beat the
Absolutely none.
Jets.
Congratulations, you beat the Jets on Thursday Night Football. I'm so happy for you. But yeah, Patriots at home, absolutely. Even if Stephon Gilmore's out.
Yeah, 100%. Vikings at the Seahawks. This is a super tough game, Jackson. I'm making you go first on this one because this is hard on me. I need time to think. This is a trap game. Never mind, I'm picking the Vikings. It's a trap game. It's a trap game, Jackson.
It's a trap game.
It's a trap game.
Sunday Night Football, right? Under the lights. Seahawks are at home. I'm going with Seattle. I'm going with the MVP favorite right now, Russell Wilson. Yes, the Vikings are a scary, good team, and the Seahawks cannot take them lightly whatsoever. Okay? Vikings had a little bit of a comeback last week. They're starting to feel themselves. But I think Seattle is better coached. I think Seattle has a much better offense. They are looking incredibly explosive. And with a Vikings team that's missing Harrison Smith in the back end on the safety, I think that's going to hurt them. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Seahawks at home. Russ is just playing out of his mind. I have to believe he keeps that up in some shape or form. Closer than we all expect, though. Closer than we all expect. 24-21 final. Seahawks.
Last one, Jackson. Are you ready? I'm about to blow your mind. Chargers at Saints, and I'm taking the Chargers.
You're not. Okay, let me hear why. Go ahead.
Number one, Casey's boy. All right, rookie quarterback, Herbert, looking real good. All right, my man's looking real good. Okay?
That's true.
They have played the Chiefs really well, took them to overtime, and then they played the Bucks really good last week. The Saints are kind of struggling. I think the Chargers pull off the upset.
Okay. All right. Well, definitely not terrible argument there. I'm going to go with the Saints at home, Monday Night Football. I'm going with Drew Brees. They should have Michael Thomas back for this game. I think that's going to be reinvigorating for the Saints offense. He's probably going to make a game time decision, but if he is back, then I think that's really going to open up the passing game for Drew Brees. We just talked about the importance of having a true number one, and Michael Thomas is in the top 3 discussion in terms of wide receivers in the league off pure talent. So that's definitely going to help them out. I like the Saints defense. I like their ability to get pressure on the quarterback. Justin Herbert hasn't seen somebody like Cam Jordan yet. So I'm going to go with the Saints at home with more experience. I think Drew Brees has a good game and a bounce back time. I'm telling you what, dude, we had some defense, we had some different picks, but I think these are going to be some good and incredible games. I really like our Sunday night matchup as well as our Monday night matchup. Going to be closer games than we think.
5 games we picked differently.
Yeah. Yeah, because I picked the Bucks, I picked the Seahawks, I picked the Browns, the Saints.
You picked the Bucks, the Bills, the Colts. No. You picked the Bucks, the Bills, the Browns, the Seahawks, and the Saints.
And I picked the Bills. Yeah.
Anyway, it's time for Take It or Leave It, Mr. Jackson. All right?
Hey, my favorite time. Let's do it.
For those of you who don't know, Take It or Leave It. All right? Segment we do every single week. Every single pod. All right? I give Jackson some things. He takes it. He leaves it. We discuss. This week's actually going to be different. I'm giving 3 things, and we kind of already used one. And then Jackson's going to come up with 2 statements that he should already have, hopefully.
I'm ready to go. You want me to go first?
No. I'm going first, Jackson. It's my week to go first, Jackson. Number 1.
Go for it.
The Titans should have to forfeit their game this Sunday against the Bills after the reports coming out that they had a secret workout. The players got together and had a secret workout, basically, while they're supposed to be at home not getting COVID. We had 2 more people test positive today.
Yeah. All right. So take or leave it in terms of if they should have to forfeit. I'm gonna say leave it. I think forcing a forfeit on somebody is the absolute last measure. Although I feel like the team should be heavily fined and disciplinary action should be taken place. I don't know to what extent that should go. If it's just a fine, if they want to send a message to the rest of the NFL by taking away like a draft pick or something. Um, but I feel like you make a team forfeit a game as like an absolute last resort if like they're just not getting the message. Um, Obviously, what they did, they should not have done. It was wrong. I know the players are anxious to get out there and play. I know that they are, ready to play the game that they love and the game that they have grown up enjoying for so long. But we're not going to be able to beat this thing unless everybody gets on the same page and does what's required of them. So I think um, some punishment should take place, absolutely. But forcing them to forfeit this game, I think is a step too far right now.
Right.
I think there's a level of disciplinary action we can get to before.
So
I don't know what that is, but
I'm not
that
100% sure. I'm not 100% sure on like if the players got together and did it themselves or if the
right.
coaches had a hand in it. I think if the coaches, like if the organization had a hand in it, I can see why the organization should be fined in some way. If the players got together and did it themselves, I think the players should be individually fined.
I get 100%. And I don't know the details of
Right.
what it was. If
And
coaches were involved or the organization was, but you're absolutely right. If there's any discrepancy in that distinction, then obviously there's going to be different stuff. But
right.
yeah,
And
to
I
answer your
seen
question, a level before
right.
forfeiting.
So yeah, leave it on the forfeiting. But I definitely think that like there's got to be some kind of repercussions. Although I understand where they're coming from. Like Roger Saffold
Sure.
tweeted out. For those of you who don't know, he's the left guard for the Titans. He
Mm-hmm.
tweeted out something along the lines of, "I stand with my team. Right? I'm always going to stand up for my team, and this is our livelihood. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is our life. Like this is what we have to do." And it's like we can't go win football games if we can't stay in shape. Basically,
I
I
get
think
that.
is kind of what he was trying to say, and I understand that. And it's just that this year is a special year, and I can see it for both sides, and it sucks because I'm a fan. I want my team to be ready, obviously, right? But
Sure.
I want my team to be able to play, and right now that is the problem.
Yeah, because obviously, last week it was very unfortunate. The team had the game against Pittsburgh had to get pushed back, and we were looking forward to that. And last week in the pod, we're like, hey, maybe it's a Monday night game. Maybe this actually works out
I was
for them.
excited.
Like it's going to be a fun game to watch. And you and me, especially on Monday night games, we're hanging out with Zach and Tyler and everybody else, and we're hanging out on Discord and watch the game together, which is always fun on Monday nights. So, but I agree with everything you said. I know the guys want to get out there and play. I know it's their livelihood. I know they got to be able to practice. They got to be ready. And maybe the NFL can look at some different ways that they could, if you test negative for so many days in a row, you can show up to the facility, or I don't know. Like I don't know exactly what the protocols that they can do to figure it out. But obviously, you want the guys to be able to play. And if they're not able to play again this week, and you have to go 2 straight weeks without watching your favorite team play, I mean that would absolutely be terrible. Like so I totally get what you're coming from, 100%.
Um, Last one for me, Jackson. After the news of the Texans firing their coach, right?
Yeah.
The first 2 people that come to your mind that the Texans should immediately start going after at the end of the season is Chiefs offensive coordinator, Patriots offensive coordinator.
Yeah. I think so. I would take it. I think because, first of all, I'll start with the Patriots offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels. He's been around for a long time. And he was actually a head coach for Denver for a period with Jay Cutler and kind of transformed him after coming from Chicago or before he went to Chicago. And Cutler played really, really, really well. And he's been kind of hanging back and waiting in the wings for the Patriots. I believe, okay, about a couple years ago, Robert Kraft was like, all right, Josh Daniels, you stay here. If you don't go take a head coaching job, and the job is yours when Bill's done. Like, we are grooming you to take over as the head coach of the New England Patriots when Bill is ready to retire. Bill hasn't retired yet, obviously. And so that's been several years since that's happened. You have to question how much Josh McDaniels wants to continue doing that. Obviously, he likes organization for some reason, right? Because obviously, you've been winning and you've been a contender for so long. You had Brady, you had Belichick. You keep coming back. He's always a candidate as soon as the year is over to be a head coach somewhere else. He's had numerous offers from multiple teams, but at some point he has to decide, like, okay, do I really stick it out until Bill's done and I could be head coach for 10, 15 years? Or do I go somewhere else and I get that livelihood, I get that money? Like, because there is a significant difference between an offensive coordinator and a head coach in terms of compensation and
Right.
things that you get. And so it's a personal question for him. I think he should be at the top of the list, everywhere. It's kind of just depends on what he wants to do. But I think now might be a really good time for him to go out and take a head coaching job, because it's been a really long time that he's been in New England. And I would think you have to question how long he really wants to continue doing that, because it doesn't look like Bill's slowing down at all, to me, from the outside perspective. So, but anyway, what do I know? In terms of the Kansas City offensive coordinator, I mean, obvious candidate for any job, right? Yeah, he's gifted with Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Tyreek Hill and everybody else on that offense. But there's also a reason why, yes, those players are individually talented, and I think they would be number one targets on any other team. But the system's working for a reason, and he has figured out a way to utilize every single one of his players to the maximum potential that they could be putting out their output, and getting everything that he possibly can from those guys. So a lot of credit has to go to the offensive coordinator, even though, yes, they have those guys. You can't forget that their coordinator's putting them in a system to be able to succeed. And he would definitely be able to take this to another team and take them on that path to greatness too. So, yeah, I would think those are two obvious candidates.
So, if you had to pick one, who you going with?
If I had to pick one, I'd probably go with McDaniels. He's more experienced and I think more proven.
Mm.
And I think Bill Belichick has a lot of pull in terms of like his coaching tree that he's had, because he's had guys like Andy Reid under him and Doug Peterson and the list continues to go on and on for those guys that continue to go out there and be successful. And I think that he has to have picked up a few tools of the trade from
Right.
Bill. So I'd probably go with him. He's more experienced right now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I'd go with McDaniels right now. But those offensive coordinators that can make plays like that, like, they're a hot commodity right now.
Right.
Sean McVay, Cliff Kingsbury, Matt LaFleur, those guys. The organization is tempted to really go with those people right now.
That's all I got, buddy. It's all you.
That's all you got?
Okay. Yep.
All right, well, you answered one of my questions. One of my take it or leave it's was, will the Titans have to forfeit a game this year? We kind of talked about that with the Bills game specifically. I guess I'll go ahead and ask that question. Do you foresee a possibility to where the Titans will have to forfeit at some point this year?
If we make it through, I think if we make it through this weekend, then no. I don't think we're going to have another outbreak like this, like another situation like this, honestly. But I can definitely see a situation where we're the only team that needs it this weekend. We can't reschedule anything else because we already moved the Steelers game back. You've had your bye week already. We don't want to put you in that week 18 slot or whatever, because you're the only team right now that needs it. And we don't want to make the Bills do that. So what are we going to do?
Sure.
We'll give you got to take the L. I can see that. Or maybe it just wouldn't count for either team or something. Like, it wouldn't be on there.
Right. wouldn't go against their record or for their record or
Right.
however they choose. Yeah, I think this week's going to be telling. I think you're absolutely right. If you get past this weekend, no, you're not going to have to forfeit. I don't think. But if this continues to be a problem this week, and if next week's game is potentially in jeopardy, then yeah, I can see a situation to maybe they have to do that.
Yeah.
That would be unfortunate. Hopefully, it doesn't come to that at all.
Mm-hmm.
That would just be terrible. Okay, so we talked about, and we actually here towards the end of the show, we talked a lot about COVID, and we talked about its effect on the NFL. And we're seeing the kind of the success that's gone on with the NBA and their bubble system. So my question to you is, take it or leave it, Mr. Lucas. The NFL should consider a bubble type system at bare minimum for the playoffs.
I think for the playoffs they definitely have to consider it, but I think it's more of like at max. I don't think anything outside of the playoffs they can really do a bubble system. I think it'd take too much. I think that's why they probably haven't done it already.
Right. I just mean like for like they do the NBA bubble system, like that's the least amount they would do. Like they wouldn't add on to that at all. They really take the NBA bubbles and.
I can definitely see a situation where they do it for the playoffs, especially for the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl you got 2 weeks leading up to it, right? And so, let's say they start week before or like week of the AFC and NFC championships, they start then, or if it's like after the AFC NFC championship, they put the teams in a bubble, and then both of the Super Bowl teams are immediately in a bubble. That way, you don't have any problems like that. But anything outside of the playoffs, definitely not. I don't see. But inside the playoffs, I think everything's possible.
I think so too. I could definitely see a system to where you have an NFC bubble and an AFC bubble, right? For the playoffs, and the Super Bowl teams go into their own bubble there at the end. I definitely think the teams should consider it. I think you almost have to consider it in terms of the playoffs, because the last thing you want is a Titans and Steelers playoff game being postponed or maybe canceled. So, because obviously those have a lot bigger of an impact than on the rest of the season than just a regular season game. Obviously, the regular season game has a big impact too. But if you had to forfeit a playoff game, then that would just be absolutely detrimental to the.
I don't think they can do it. I don't think there's any situation where they let a team forfeit, because I don't think any team would accept it. I don't think fans would accept it. Any of the organizations.
You just have to keep pushing the game back and play whenever you can. So yeah, bubble for the playoffs, I think is a likely scenario. I think that's pretty cool. But that's all I got, Mr. Lucas.
Yep, me too.
That's the show, guys. Thank y'all so much for watching, coming out and leaving some comments and interacting with us. Really do appreciate the interaction. So leave a comment down below if you guys have a question, a concern, or maybe you just want to let us know who's your favorite MVP pick so far this season. Is it Josh Allen and his sneaky good arm? Is it Patrick Mahomes, face of the NFL as a whole? Is it Aaron Rodgers, that bad man? We all know that's Casey's pick. But guys, remember, you can find us where all podcasts can be heard: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. We also upload this video every single week to YouTube, so be sure to leave a like, subscribe, make that algorithm work for us so we can get seen to a broader audience. We really would appreciate it. But that's all it from us at the studio, and we'll talk to you later. Love you. Bye.
Deuces.